Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector. And I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is a show that I do every single week on Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And during this show, we talk about some news and current events, things that may be top of mind for me, things that may be top of mind for you. I give you a rundown of the various content that is going to be coming out from the channel. And we typically engage in a fair amount of merriment. And we have overall, I think, a fantastic time as we do this interaction. And then I also give away a really cool slab as part of the Go Collect giveaway that we have been doing for 71 weeks. And I'm also going to potentially be giving away some Kirby cards over the course of this live stream. So I definitely want to encourage those of you out there to stay tuned towards the end, because we'll probably do the Kirby cards towards the end, and you do have to be present in order to actually win the Kirby cards. So happy Father's Day to all of the comic book soldiers that are out there that are fathers. For those of you that are not fathers, I want to say enjoy every single day where you don't have kids, because once you have kids, there are some good days, there are some bad days. And what I've also realized is that you cannot give kids back after you have them. I've looked into it. It is frowned upon. People poo-poo the idea of giving kids back. It has been honestly a fantastic Father's Day for me. I was awakened this morning at 6 a.m. By the pitter pat of little feet saying, "Happy birthday, happy Father's Day." That was how I was awakened this morning from my slumber of only 5 hours by my two children, who told me that my cake was on the way. So I think they're completely confused by this whole Father's Day thing. At least one of them is. But we had a really good day. Really good weekend overall. It was both a slow and a fast weekend at the same time. I took 2 naps, one yesterday and then one today. And when I woke today from my 15-minute nap, cat nap, because I do a power nap, I was awakened by a question from my wife in the other room to my daughter, who had taken basically a half container of soy sauce and poured it into a vat of rice. And needless to say, that rice was no longer edible because it was awash in like 5 cups of soy sauce. So that is essentially how my day has gone. A little fast, a little slow, but overall, definitely an enjoyable one. So let me say hello to some comic book soldiers that have joined me here in the room, and then we are going to get on with our agenda. And I know you guys were in here for a while. The chat cut off big time. So I see Hawkeye, Jerry's in here, Almighty Liger King, Tina's in the house. It's always good to see you. Joe is here. Jeffrey is here. Jason is in the house. Pretty fly for a Filipino guy. Randy Snake, my man. Harvey Abel, Andrew, it is good to see you. He said, I think, Andrew, you said you were watching The Boys. It is pretty darn good. Legally Burning is in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Scrolling down, Wesley is here. Scrolling through, anybody here for the very first time? Anyone in here? Goose Fang, anyone in here for the very first time? If so, put your hand up. I want to acknowledge you. And again, I want to thank everybody that is here right now, hanging out, having a good time. And that is a lot of soy sauce. We do a couple of things in this house. We eat a lot of chicken, ground chicken, because I have texture issues. We use a lot of soy sauce, a lot of ketchup, and we eat a lot of white rice, and we have for years and years. But we eat a lot of food. We put away a healthy amount of food in this house. So I want to give a quick shout out real quick to Toy and Comic Heaven. I must have purchased something from these guys recently, because when I was breaking down boxes, this business card fell out of the boxes, and I don't know what I purchased specifically from these guys, but I know that the things that I've purchased all showed up in the condition that I was expecting them to be in. And so therefore, we're going to give a shout out to Toy and Comic Heaven. My man James over there is an owner and also Overstreet advisor. They are located in Pennsylvania, toyandcomicheaven.com. He wrote me a note. He said, Reggie, I hope you enjoyed the book. Give us a shout out. Now, what's interesting is I sign all of my eBay purchases. Regie collects. So my guess is that he must have some awareness as to me and the channel. So shout out to James, and thank you for the book, whatever the book was. It was a purchase, so no big deal. No big deal. What is this? Burk family, brother. Burk family. He likes to give me a hard time. This guy right here. He says, is it just me? Hold on, I lost it. Let me scroll up. Is it just me, or did Reggie take down his DC books in favor of some Marvel books I've never heard of? Man, I'm gonna tell you. Those DC books were up there for a pretty long time. They were up there for a while. I was super lazy. It's probably like 3 weeks. It's probably 3 weeks, man. Those books were up there. But yeah, so there is a remedial class, Burk family, that we'll be doing immediately after this show right here, where we're going to go through what is Hulk 181. We're going to go through what is and who is Stan Lee. We're going to do remedial stuff right after this one, brother. It'll be me and you. We'll knock it out. All right. Burk family's a good guy. Happy Father's Day to you, brother. All right. So there are a couple of things that I want to try to get to over the course of this live stream. I want to talk about supposedly Marvel is going to be throwing some twists and turns out there for us in the coming months. So we're going to talk about their major turning points, if you will, as it relates to some of the cosmic stuff. We are going to talk about a Spider-Man one-shot. And I got caught up on a lot of Spider-Man today. We're going to talk about a Spider-Man one-shot that's going to be coming out, and I'll explain why that's actually potentially relevant. I have Reggie's reading recommendations, where I'm going to run down for you guys a couple of books, a couple of titles that I have been reading that I want to give a shout out to, and then we're also going to talk about the upcoming content that will be released from the channel over the course of this week. So a couple of things that we're going to try to get to, and again, if there's things you guys want to chat about, if I'm able to get them, I will actually throw them up in all caps. And I'll try to get to them as best I can. So what is this? There we go. Man, brother, you know, man, we talk behind the scenes and all that stuff. Definitely just trying to have a little fun. So we have another shooting for our remedial class here. Another DC guy we're gonna do a remedial class for. We're gonna talk about who is Stan Lee for $100. There you go. Shout out to Joe. All right, so let me throw this thing up on screen here real quick. And the first thing we're going to talk about, as mentioned, is Marvel's making these promises around these major turning points as it relates to some of the cosmic stuff that may actually be happening. So from the headline, Marvel promises two major turning points in the beginning of Marvel's Space Age and Empire epilogues. So the Empire stuff, I read, I think it was Incoming. I think we talked about this once before. It was the Kree Skrull stuff, and it was actually pretty darn interesting. I rather enjoyed it. And so I remember the original Avengers Kree Skrull kind of thing back in the day. I had I think it was issue number 1. It was 2 issues. I think I had issue number 1 for a long period of time. I recently picked up issue number 2, so I have it in the collection. I did not find that one all that interesting, or at least I do not recall it being all that interesting. But what is happening right now is actually pretty cool. So the text here, it wouldn't be a Marvel Comics event without tie-in issues, preludes, epilogues in this summer's Empire. So I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of people ask about this. I am not a huge fan of major crossover events. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't care whether they're Marvel or DC. I'm not a huge fan of all of the various tie-ins that happen with these things. I will sometimes read the main story, but as far as trying to track down all the tie-ins, that's just not my gig. But that is definitely something that Marvel loves doing, because it makes them a lot of money. And that's my guess. That's the reason why they do all of these major crossovers and tie-ins every single summer, is because it's a huge way for them to actually pull some money in. But again, I don't historically do it, but I might get these. So they highlight here that in September, they're actually going to be publishing 2 post-game one-shots that are going to be coming out called Empire Aftermath Avengers and Empire Fallout Fantastic Four. And this will answer some unanswered questions, I guess, right? So as you read the main stories and the tie-ins and all that kind of stuff, we're going to be left with a couple of cliffhangers, and some of that stuff will actually be revealed in these 2 one-shots that are actually going to be dropping in September. So Dan Slott writes Fallout Fantastic Four #1. Let me scroll through. 2 major turning points for the entire Marvel universe as the fate of all future Kree-Skrull wars is placed in the hands of Reed Richards and his family, the Fantastic Four. And so again, I'm kind of interested in reading this. And what was cool here is that they actually point out also in this issue, the Profiteer returns, but is she here for revenge or justice? And there's also a special appearance by the cosmic character known as the Unseen. Now, it took me a minute. It took me a minute to remember who these characters were. And the Profiteer, I had to look that one up because I could not remember that one. So the Profiteer actually had a first appearance in Empire FF #0. And so I do not own this book, but I kind of throw that out there because it is the first appearance. And if there is something potentially big that could happen, there could be something here with this character, the Profiteer, Empire Fantastic Four #0. So then the Unseen, I struggle with this one. I struggle with this one for a couple of moments because I was like, which Unseen are they talking about? Because there was an Unseen in, I think it was ROM Annual #2 or something like that. There was an alien race that was also known as the Unseen. So I'm like, where are they going with this thing? Because it's like, are they about to do something with the Space Knights? Because that could be kind of cool, right? And then I remembered that Nick Fury is also called the Unseen. So if you saw Original Sin, if you remember reading that comic in that series, Original Sin, Nick Fury actually killed the Watcher, had some other stuff go on, and then he was basically cursed by the Watchers to become the Unseen. And I don't think that we have seen the Unseen since he was basically dubbed the Unseen. And so I'm actually looking forward, if this is the Unseen that they're talking about, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what is going on with Mr. Nick Fury. So there you go. That is why I am kind of interested in these epilogues that they're going to be doing as part of what's happening in this summer. So let me see what you guys are talking about. Scrolling through. Okay. All right. So big crossovers are good as long as they are few and far in between. Yeah, I would. I mean, the problem is it seems like they do at least a couple a year, right? Depending upon what's going on. There's at least a couple, like this year so far. Haven't we had the big Venom crossover Carnage stuff that was going on? Then there was the War of Realms. That was the other big one that readily comes to mind. And I can't remember of any others. So now we're looking at basically a third that will be happening here. So roughly 1 per quarter thus far. So, and again, that's all off the top of my head. I could be completely off base with some of this stuff, but those are some of the things that I was thinking about. So the Almighty Liger King, the tie-ins are straight up money grab. Gotta get that money. So I had a couple of people, earlier today on Instagram that were like, the variants that Marvel is coming out with for comic book day. New comic book day is still on Wednesday. People are like, that's a money grab. I'm like, yeah, it is, and it's a super obvious one that everybody should see for what it is, But the truth is, whether you're talking about I'm gonna be completely honest, whether you're talking about some of the variants that get released, you talk about some of the, like CGC's labels that they put out, a lot of it's money grab, right? A lot of it's money grab. But if people give the money over, then the companies are just doing what the companies do, right? Because they give what the people continue to buy. And if people stop to buy it, then they won't continue to do it. So be mad at your friends. All right, let me see. I'm scrolling through the comments here. There you go. Connie says, it seems that Marvel has an epic comic event during the summer. They have one at least every summer. And for the life of me, I want to say that Marvel Secret Wars was the very first. I want to say that Marvel Secret Wars was the very first major like crossover summertime event that was done. And like part of me feels that ever since Secret Wars, there's been at least one. But we would need somebody in here that is much more of a comic book historian than I to be able to confirm what I could have just made up. So hopefully somebody will either co-sign that or correct what I just said a couple of moments ago. The Mutant Massacre, that was a good one. That was a good one. There you go. People can't have a money grab without people man, I'm telling you, people just walk up, hey, people like the CGC signings are money grabs. Well, if people keep sending in their books, is it really a money grab versus a money collection? Hopefully everybody knows that I'm just having fun. Hopefully everybody knows that. All right. So that was one thing that I wanted to talk about. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was that I have been catching up on some reading. And I specifically, we're going to get to my reading list in a second, but I've also specifically been reading up on Amazing Spider-Man. You guys know that I am not a huge fan of Nick Spencer, who is the writer for Amazing Spider-Man right now. I think the guy must be talented. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from his talent. I'm really just not enjoying the current run of Amazing Spider-Man. And people will say, well, why do you buy it? Well, I buy it because I own every Amazing Spider-Man comic that there is, right? Not every single variant, right? Money grab. Not every single one, but I own at least an issue, typically the A. So I continue to buy them because that way I have every comic for Amazing Spider-Man. That's why I do it. But I had not been reading them. And so I spent some time today actually catching up on my reading of Amazing Spider-Man. And yeah, it's still just as bad as I remember. But that is not the point. That is not the point that I'm trying to make here. What I do want to talk about is a one-shot that is actually coming out about Spider-Man. And so I want to make this big on the screen. It says Spider-Man forms a whole new team in Sins of Norman Osborn, Sins Past tie-in. So again, another like crossover major event, if you will. It's not really a major event because it's a one shot. But this is pretty interesting right here. One of Spider-Man's greatest arch enemies is taking the new spotlight in September as part of the Sins Rising arc with the release of Amazing Spider-Man, The Sins of Norman Osborn. The one shot pits Peter Parker and a whole new team of wall crawlers against the once and future Green Goblin, who now serves as the head administrator of Ravencroft Asylum. And so this one is written by Nick Spencer. That's not the point here, but the real point of this right here is that the Order of the Web, consisting of Miles Morales, Spider-Woman, Ghost Spider, Spider-Girl, and Madam Web. This one shot was announced in Marvel's just released September solicitations. And I think that it was Burk family just like 10 minutes ago that highlighted the fact that he feels like Miles Morales and Ghost Spider and maybe even Spider-Gwen are like the future of what was happening with Marvel. And he could certainly be right about that. That is part of what jumped out at me with this article, is that in this book, that is this one shot that is coming out. Madam Web hasn't really been around all that much. And now Madam Web is back. Madam Web is also getting her own movie on Sony, right? We know that Miles Morales is coming out in his second sequel, and that's probably going to be pretty incredible. And so then you look at the rest of these folks, Spider-Woman, Ghost Spider, Spider-Girl, there could be some magic that gets made here. And I want to say, if I go back to that photo, was Silk was in there as well. I think Silk is in there. So I think that there is potentially something that could be happening with this one shot. My general feeling is that when Marvel starts dropping one shots for that feature certain characters, there is something afoot. There is something that is happening. And so part of me wanted to go back and read Amazing Spider-Man to kind of see what was going on with Amazing Spider-Man, to see how they may be setting up this one shot coming in September. And I think it's too early to see that set up. My guess is that it's probably going to be coming in like the July, August timeframe, because I'm not really seeing it right now. The issues that I read were around Boomerang, Grog, and J. Jonah Jameson's podcast. not enjoyable content, but there could be some really awesome things that are coming down the line here for the Spider family. And I am definitely pumped about that. I'm pumped about that, and also kicking myself at the same time because I did not pick up those Miles Morales books like I should have so many months ago when I was debating it. So Sully Two Kings is like, I stopped reading ASM about 15 issues ago. The story is... it is like watching paint dry or water boil on like the low setting. That is, it is not good. It is not good. And it is tough. It is tough. I'm just ready for this Kindred. Man, the Kindred bro has been teased since issue number 1. Issue number 1 of this new volume. He has been teased. They are on issue 48, 49 right now. Come on, let's just play this thing out. You know, this is the most drawn out thing ever. Nick Spencer is ungood. I do believe that is actually the technical term. I do believe that is actually the technical. Titus, how you doing? Brandon, happy Father's Day to you, my friend. What is this? Hey Reggie, what will be your next guess for MCU hero death? Oh man, I don't even give me the guessing on that one, to be honest with you. We can play that game all day. Play that game all day and still get that one wrong. Burk family said, wait, did Tom King start right? So let me guess, you are not enjoying the Batman stuff that Tom King was working on. I think he's still working on Batman, or is he off of that now? I can't remember. Sin Eater is returning. Sounds like he's working with Kindred. Kindred was showing up. Yeah, man. So the Kindred is like I said, it's been through this thing the whole time. The Sin Eater is definitely coming back. And I want to say that the Kindred has like powered up the Sin Eater. So the Sin Eater should be even more dope than in the past. So it'll be pretty interesting to kind of see how this unfolds, you know, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Madam Web, because maybe there's some kind of setup, if you will, for what could happen in the Sony movie. And again, I'm randomly spitballing here. You know what I'm saying? So let me scroll. What is this? Better pick up those hip hop variants of Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, and Silk before they blow up. Man, I'm telling you, brother. I actually just talked about them in the Go Collect weekly video, right? So I think, you know, I don't own a single copy of any one of those hip hop variants. I own the book, the free book. I actually have 2 copies that I found in the collection of the free book that shows those books, but I haven't found those books. So I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that I may stumble upon those books. Maybe there's a whole hip hop book bin that I just haven't found yet. But fingers crossed. Shout out to my man, Tony Trebetta from EGS just dropped a super chat. Did I get my Batman 92? I did not. I am not playing the Batman 92 game, man. I am not playing Punchline. I'm not playing Miles Morales. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I have a slightly different play that from a speculation standpoint that I'm working on, but I did not pick up any Batman 92s, man. You know, part of it is I try to practice what I preach, you know, and what I try to preach, if you will, lowercase p, is blue ocean, man. We try to go after those things before they become hot. But you know, I'm not I don't know. I'm just not a punchline kind of guy. That's not what I want to chase. But that Miles Morales, if he finds his way to my house, I mean, I won't kick Miles Morales out of the house. There was another super chat. If I'm actually, there's Sean, there we go. What do I think about I have not, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I just followed that person. I think it's Peach. Yeah, I just followed Peach. I did not have any awareness of her until Tom started talking about her, and I caught wind of it maybe 3 weeks ago or something like that. I mean, I think people seem to really like her artwork. I don't know if I've invested enough time, energy, and effort into really looking at enough of it to get a feel for it. But I followed her on Instagram and maybe went to the page like one time. But people seem to be pretty excited about her. You know, I mean, I'm cool with anything that people get excited about and are able to enjoy, you know. So, Sean, I definitely apologize, brother. I missed your super chat. What happens is that there's a timer associated with the super chat. that. And so when the timer elapses, I won't be able to see it unless I scroll back up. But when I'm looking at other things or showing other things, I actually cannot see the chat. So you definitely have my apology. And thank you to whoever that was that flagged that, because I definitely missed that. Spider Pig, bring them on. Bring on the Spider Pig, Spider Ham. All right, scrolling down to the bottom here. See what else you guys are talking about. Yeah, so again, the one shot that may be coming out in September featuring the Spider family, if you will, is something that I'm interested in, because I think that there's a lot of magic that will potentially be made with that cast of characters that will be contained in that one shot. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I could be completely wrong. Be completely wrong, but if we're talking about buying a one shot at cover price and then maybe seeing what magic happens down the road, that's never necessarily a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So I had somebody say to me the other day, why do you buy so many modern books? Is it just because you enjoy them? Yes. The thing is, if you look at it, right, you really won't know by and large if a comic is going to be worth something for years, right? I mean, you look at, we did an analysis of like a lot of blue chip books back in the day, Silver Age books that are really expensive now. And it took like 10 years before those books really started to climb in value. And so the thing is, you really don't know which books that come out are actually going to be worth money, right? But what you can do is buy comics that you are interested in, that you think that you may enjoy. You buy those books, you read those books, you put them in a bin, you take care of them. And then if they're worth something, you celebrate that. And if they're not, you have extracted your value from them because you had an opportunity to read them and care for them and cultivate them. Because as a comic book reader and collector, that is what I enjoy, right? And I would say that there is a lot of enjoyment that comes from reading and collecting comics, maybe more so than where people go out to meals. People go out to meals and they go out to bars and they socialize, and that's what they do. That is their form of entertainment. They go to sporting events. Those are their forms of entertainment, and they walk away from those things enriched because of the conversation, because of the experience. But those things are intangible things. At least with comic book collecting, even if I spend $3 versus $20 for a movie, I have something that is tangible that I can stare at and look at and enjoy and read and revisit time and time again. So we've spoken about Marvel's major turning points, the 2 one-shots that are going to be coming out. They're going to be talking about Space Adventures in September. We also touched on the Spider Family one-shot that is going to be coming out also in September. I think all 3 of those things could be kind of interesting. So again, if you guys are interested in that stuff, you may want to talk to your local comic shops and see what's up there. Let me go back to the chat before I move forward. And the writing in the modern comics is 100 times better to read than any silver or golden age book, even though they're not worth anything near. I agree and I disagree. And I would say that I think that there is both good and bad across all those ages. Like, we just identify several writers that are modern writers that we just don't enjoy, right? And I would say that there are some titles that back in the day that have stood the test of time and are still fantastic. And there's others that just aren't good. I'll be completely honest. Some of them, I mean, they may be worth a lot, but to read them is like just awful. But there are some that are actually good. Like, I enjoy the corniness, if you will, of Stan Lee's writing from Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man. I enjoy the corniness of it. And I think sometimes the corn factor flips a little too far for me, but by and large, I enjoy it, and it's like at the end of the day, whether you, it doesn't matter if you are buying an old comic and reading it or buying a new comic and reading it. If you're buying comics and you're enjoying the comics, I'm on board with that. And I think Burk family would probably agree with that as well. So scrolling down through some of the comments here, see what else you guys are talking about. Some comic books are intoxicating. My man Scott, how you doing, brother? So my wife gave me a new gift today. She gave me a couple of gifts, but she gave me a new Apple Watch. And what pops up on the screen is a really interesting thing. eBay is now able to message me on my watch. I don't know how I feel about that, because it's like, this auction ends soon in 14 minutes. I don't know if I like that. That could be very dangerous. All right, so I'm actually going to transition for I'm actually going to transition to talking about Reggie's reading recommendations. So I have been reading a lot, and some of what I'm going to talk about right now are books that have just come out that I just picked up when I went to the local comic shop earlier this week. There are going to be other things that I'm going to talk about that have been out for a while that you guys have talked to me about that I went back to reread. And so I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I'm actually just going to talk about some of them. The Resistance. The Resistance from AWA Studios is fantastic. Issue number 2 of The Resistance came out. I picked up my copy. I read it twice, and then I went back and I reread issue number 1. It is really good. It's different. I think that the writer and the artist may need more time to kind of gel together as a collaborator team, because there were sometimes I felt like a little bit of some jumps in either the dialogue or the images that were being depicted, right? But I enjoy The Resistance from AWA Studios. I enjoyed it. It is about a pandemic. It is about, I mean, we're going through it right now. It's like a pandemic that is extremely contagious, that spreads, that results in lots of deaths. And then towards the end of issue number 1, as you get into issue number 2, what you realize is that those that do not die, that become sick and that recover, are actually manifesting powers. And this is a story that we've seen play out. Like, we've seen this kind of play out with the Terrigen Mist, with the Inhumans. I mean, we've seen this before, but it's still enjoyable because it is set in modern day. I think it's very relevant to what we are doing right now with the shelter in place. I mean, it's almost like they knew that this was coming, and they clearly didn't, right? But it's really enjoyable. If you guys are interested in like indie stuff, Resistance 1 and 2, I recommend those. From Image Studios, I want to recommend Stealth. Now, Stealth is Robert Kirkman and Mark Silvestri. They created this character back in the day, and I've spoken about this character before. This book, I read issue number 2. It is pretty good. It is pretty good. I think that the artwork is a little not my style, but I enjoyed the story. And I think the writing is pretty good. I think if the artwork were better, that would be great. I would say if the artist was able to bring in some of the technological stuff that was part of the original Stealth title, I think that we would benefit from that. It's a little too cartoony for me, especially when you look at the suit. It's supposed to be this advanced technical suit. It's a little too cartoony for me. I would prefer something that was more advanced, because it's supposed to be from an alien civilization, all this other kind of stuff. But Stealth 1 and 2 are out. Definitely good. I went back and I started, I think it was H Factor. I think it was H Factor that was talking to me about Something is Killing the Children. And I want to say issue number 1. I did not enjoy it. I'm going to be completely honest. I did not enjoy it. So I was like, maybe I'm being too hard on Something is Killing the Children because people keep talking about it. So I went back and I read issues 1 through 6. And it is not as bad as I remember. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's actually okay. It's a little quirky. It's one that I might continue reading because I want to see what happens, but it is definitely a quirky comic. It has an indie feel to it. The drawing, the art is a little rough in my opinion, but still not like a terrible read. It's not like Amazing Spider-Man, right? Let's put it that way. But those are a couple of my reading books that I would recommend. Is Resistance, Stealth, and Something is Killing the Children. All not bad books to check out. So going back to the comments here, seeing what else you guys are talking about. Here's I've heard nothing but good things about Something is Killing the Children, and I still have not grabbed it. Just not a huge independent fan of anything not TMT, Power Rangers, or God Country. I hear you, and I'll be honest with you, brother. If you are comparing Something is Killing the Children to God Country, it is not a close comparison. God Country was fantastic. This is not that, but it is an enjoyable read. I've never ever read a Turtles book or a Power Rangers book, so I have nothing to add or compare there. But God Country, God country, here. Something's killing the children somewhere not up here. But yeah, I mean, again, you check it out if you want. But again, those are some of my cautionary notes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This one right here. My man Scott put me on this old guard. It is so good. I enjoyed Old Guard. I want to thank you, brother, for the recommendation. I don't know if I talked about it. I did another one of these Reggie's reading recommendations, and I maybe I didn't read it, or I didn't mention it, but Old Guard was good. That is another one that was pretty darn solid. I did not pick up any of the hard copies. I read it all digitally, and part of me wants to pick up the hard copies, but then another part of me is like, you spent too much money already, so maybe you shouldn't. But that was definitely a good title. That was a good title. Finished up my full run of Spawn this week. My wallets. Congrats, Crypt Keeper. Congrats, bro. That is a very daunting task, and it is a task that is worthy of a break, right? Sometimes when you complete some of these big tasks, man, sometimes you just have to sit back and appreciate and enjoy what you've accomplished. Congratulations. She Spawn, if you're in here, here's one of your kindred right here, Crypt Keeper. Scrolling through some of the comments here, Decorum 1 and 2. You know, I read Decorum 1. It was deep. It was deep, but I am not giving up on that one. I am not going to give. Oh, I had the wrong comment up there. I don't even know where it went. Oh man, Decorum. Here we go. Decorum. Yeah, I read Decorum 1. I have not read issue 2, but number 1 was very deep. It was very deep, like the X-Men, House of X, Powers of 10 with the interstitial pages. It was dense. It was a dense read. And I would like to read issue number 2. I have not yet, but I will. Wesley is asking if the German copy of Amazing Spider-Man 110 counts for the Giving Gang. No. It does not. I've seen those issues around. There is only one thing that counts to be part of the Giving Gang, and that is Amazing Spider-Man 110, the American version. We can make you honorary, brother. We'll make you honorary, just like the Marvel Tales book. We make you honorary, but Amazing Spider-Man 110 is where the magic is, brother. I'm sure you can get one. I was talking to someone. It was maybe Ariel. It was maybe Ariel. I can't remember. Somebody just picked up one for like $17 or something like that. They're not terribly expensive. So do not spend a ton of money on that. Chuck, I read this one, Strange Adventures. One of you guys told me about this. I picked up issues 1 and 2 when I was at the comic shop. I read it. It was not bad. It was not bad. It's a little trippy because it seems to be telling the story in the present and the past at the same time without disclosing that it's in the past and the present, because that's what you're assuming. There are not necessarily cliffhangers, not necessarily plot threads or whatever, but there are gaps in my understanding that have intrigued me to the point where I may want to read a couple more issues to better understand the gaps that currently exist. But Strange Adventures, not a bad read. I read issues 1 and 2 of that. I want to say I read those. Not bad. All right. Scrolling through some of the comments. Again, I told you I've been reading a lot. I have not read the most recent Philadelphia. It is sitting outside the room right here. But I am going to read that because I'm a huge fan of Rodney Barnes, and Philadelphia is really fantastic. I was on Rodney Barnes's Instagram, and he had a photo of him and Rick Fox. So I guess they were meeting up somewhere, hanging out. So that tells you the kind of people that Rodney Barnes hangs out with Rick Fox, who was dope. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Good week for books. Dark Knight's Meadow. Jason, how you doing, brother? I did not pick up any of the DC books. I'm gonna be honest with you. I picked up a couple of the things that I mentioned, like the Resistance, Stealth. I picked up Strange Adventures. Picked up a couple of things, but I did not get the DC books. But maybe at some point I will pick them up. Did I read any of those Little Mermaid? No, I didn't. I did not. I did not read any. Oh, you know what? So that was what was cool about Strange Adventures. What was cool about that is I was able to finally find out who Mr. Terrific was. Because if you guys remember, a couple of months ago, someone had given me an AOK and it had a guy's arm on there that said fair play. And I think in the video, I was like, who is that? Who is fair play? Clearly, that's not the person's name. I think somebody in the comments probably corrected me on the fact that that was Mr. Terrific, but I never went to go look up Mr. Terrific. But in Strange Adventures, there were other DC characters, and I don't want to give it all away because somebody may read this. I don't want to give it all away, but one of the characters that was in there was Mr. Terrific, and so I ended up trying to be like, who is Mr. Terrific? So I went and did a little research and I found that I guess there's two Mr. Terrifics. One of them was the Golden Age, and I can't remember what he appeared in, but it was a long time ago, Golden Age book. And he was rolling with, I think it was Justice League Society. I think it was Justice League Society he was rolling with, but he ends up dying. And I read the first appearance of the new Mr. Terrific, who's this black guy, and I can't remember his name, but I read that book. The artwork wasn't very good, but I had an opportunity to read about him and the Spectre and how the Spectre and the Justice League and all Justice Society, all of them worked. That was actually pretty cool. And again, I think that that's one of the great things in many ways about some of the new books is that because of how they are written, as a comic book reader, as a comic book collector, I am intrigued to sometimes go and read the old stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's a better understand these characters because I think that that's a pretty awesome way to kind of, create that thread between time. So shout out to Strange Adventures and whoever it was that made the recommendation that I read that because I enjoyed that. I also learned a little bit about Mr. Terrific and all about what fair play actually means. So definitely a cool thing. Scrolling through. All right. So this is a complicated one. I can't even answer this. What do I think are the biggest differences between the main Marvel characters versus the main DC characters? I could not begin to coalesce my thinking in a comprehensive way to be able to give you a thoughtful answer in this moment. I would have to noodle that one a little bit to be able to come back. But what I will tell you is that I have actually been thinking about this very thing myself. I've actually been noodling this just a little bit to try to understand what are the differences and why do I gravitate more towards Marvel versus DC, and what is it about DC that doesn't float my boat the same way that it does Marvel. I'm still noodling. And at some point when I'm washing dishes or vacuuming floors, it'll come to me and I'll be like, I got it. And then I'll come in here and write it on the board. Then I'll record a video about it. All right. So let me keep this thing moving because we have been going for a little bit here and I don't want to get too bogged down. But we've covered off on a lot of stuff already. What I will also tell you guys, let me give you a rundown of the content that is going to be coming up from the channel this week, and then we're going to go ahead and do our Go Collect giveaway. What I will tell you is that earlier today, something arrived that I have been waiting for like a week and some change. It finally arrived today. It was in limbo for like 3 days where it was like not out for delivery, but, updating or pending or something like that. But it finally arrived today. And what arrived was the brand new case from CBCS. The brand new case from CBCS showed up today on Father's Day. And my son comes walking in with it. And he says, Dad, this man dropped this off for you. And I looked at it and I said, that must be it. It is sitting right here. The brand new case from CBCS is sitting right here. But you're going to have to stay tuned for the video. The video will be coming out tomorrow. I'm dropping the video tomorrow, and I'm actually going to show you guys the CBCS case, and I'm going to answer the question of whether the new case makes the grade or not. So you definitely want to stay tuned to the channel because that video will be coming out. And to that point, some of the other videos that are going to be coming out over the course of this week, I'm going to be digging in my shorts again. And I know you guys like it when I dig in my shorts because there's some really good comic books that come out of those short boxes. So I think you guys are going to enjoy that. I'm also going to do an unboxing video that will be dropping at some point this week. And then also, there's a lot of signings that are happening right now at CGC. CBCS has some, and then there's a lot of these facilitator signings that are actually happening. But I wanted to create a video that would give you guys some things to think about before you actually send your books in for those signings. And so I think the video is like, stop before you send anything to CGC, watch this video, or something dramatic like that. But that video will be coming out this week. I think you guys will enjoy it. I had another video that was already teed up, ready to go. Actually, I have several that are teed up, ready to go. But I had to juggle things around because the CBCS case actually showed up. I filmed it this afternoon, edited it, and posted it up, and it'll be going live tomorrow, as I mentioned. So those are the 4 videos that are going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. And then I'm also going to be releasing a podcast. Podcast is going to be coming out on Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Hopefully you guys will be able to check out the content. All right. So let me go back to the chat real quick, and then we're going to give away this book. CBCS trying to slide into those DMs, man. Bro, I was downstairs and I was doing some comic book stuff, and my kids were playing in the garage and all that stuff. And I got a message. No, I might have been lifting. I might have been training at the time, and I got a message from CBCS, and they were like, "Hey, would you be interested in reviewing our case?" They were like, all we ask is that you give us, a fair review of the case, and, it was basically like truthful, but don't like bash us, that kind of thing. And I'm like, first, that's not me. And they were like, what we're going to do is we're going to send you out the case and let you check it out, and then you do your video. And so there was like radio silence for like days. And then I got another message. And I replied back to them within 10 minutes and was like, absolutely, I will review your case and give you a fair review. But then radio silence for a couple of days. Then they sent me an email and they were like, we sent your case out. And I'm like, ooh, when is it going to come? When is it going to come? And it finally showed up today. So that video will be coming out tomorrow. I think you guys will enjoy it. And then what I may end up doing, honestly, is the video is going to be released, and then I may go live Monday night. I may go live Monday night to add some additional texture and context to my experience. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned for all of that content that will be coming out from the channel. So thank you, Harvey. Oh, I think that was Harvey. Thank you, Tina. I definitely appreciate that. I definitely appreciate. There's a couple. There was another that I was going to drop that I think you guys would have enjoyed, but I'll punt it until next week. So scrolling down through some of the comments here. It looks like you guys are going back and forth a little bit about some of the DC stuff, which I think is great. Are you talking about my knee? If you're talking about my knee is trash, brother. But it's a little bit better, but it's still not good. I may actually have to go to a doctor. And that must tell you something, right? If I am going to a doctor, it must actually be pretty bad. So we will see. We will see what happens. All right. So that's all the content that I wanted to talk about. And now I want to give away this book. Right here. And I definitely want to encourage you guys to stay tuned, because I'm probably going to do a couple of the Jack Kirby cards. And then I'm also going to show you guys the book that is going to be given away next week. So this is the book that we are going to be giving away tonight to one lucky subscriber. It is Spawn #1. It is a 9.6. It is a newsstand, and this book will be going out to somebody. I don't even have this book. I have a couple of Spawn #1s, surprisingly only like 4. But I don't have a single newsstand. So I picked this one up because I thought it was a dope book. And I think you guys thought so as well, because a lot of you were able to get into the running to actually be able to pick some of this stuff up. So, all right. I think it's more like I've probably lost a lot of cartilage in my knee. Because, as a bodybuilder, man, I was lifting some decent weight, when I was younger, maybe not the best form. I ran track, I ran softball, I did all kinds of stupid, crazy stuff. So yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and give away this book real quick. A couple of people asking about the CBCS cases and stuff like that. I will tell you that you are going to have to stay tuned to the video to find out what my thoughts are. So we're going to roll these dice, and you're checking my browser. Man, that is weird. All right, so 6. We rolled 6. I think you guys could see that. We rolled 6. So I'm going to take that down, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull up the list. And then we are going to randomize this thing a total of 6 times. And then we are going to give away this cool book to somebody. So here we are in the list. And let me scroll through the list first. Scroll to the top here, and then we're going to randomize this thing. So you can see these are all of the names of the individuals that were able to successfully enter this week's Go Collect giveaway. So they were able to watch the videos that came out from the channel, find the one with the phrase in it, navigate their way over to the community tab, and then they were able to find the post and then the link for MailChimp to plug in the phrase. And the phrase was, I think, Todd Father. I think that was it. As a reminder, I want to say, it would be extremely helpful if you do not post any comments about the slab. If I'm showing the slab in the video saying cool slab, cool giveaway, that's not the way to go. So I definitely want to encourage people not to do that. And then if you have any issues with entry or whatever, just send me an email. Send me an email and we'll talk about it offline. This giveaway is intended to be a reward for those people that take the time to watch the videos. So that's why we don't want to say, hey, this is the video with the Go Collect thing, right? So, all right, let's randomize this thing. That is one time right there. Scrolling down, 287 people entered this week. That is the second right there. Scrolling down, here is 3. Scrolling, here is 4. This is 5 right there. And the winner of this week's Go Collect giveaway of a Spawn #1 newsstand is none other than Here for the Comics. Here for the Comics is here with a purpose, and he or she has just won Spawn #1 along with a Go Collect exclusive variant. All of this will be bundled up and sent out to Here for the Comics just as soon as they send me an email to Regie at regiecollects.com with their screen name, their government name, and their mailing address. And it's important that you send me an email, right? I keep I save all of the emails of the exchange between myself and the winner for any kind of, if I need documentation, I need a documentation of that exchange, that everything was sent out. So please make sure you send me that email in a timely manner, and I will bundle up your book and get it sent out to you. So there you go. Spawn #1 is going out the door tonight. All right. So let's do a quick, what do we want to do? Let's do this real quick. And I'm going to show you guys the next book that is actually going to be given away in a hot second. Let's do this. What was the first appearance of Mr. Terrific? Anybody can tell me the first appearance of the original Mr. Terrific. Will actually get a pack of the Jack Kirby cards. You have to be in the US. You have to be in the US. You have to be in the room to win, clearly, because you're going to type it in here. The first response that I see will be the winner. The first appearance of the original Mr. Terrific, and I have to pull it up myself because I am doing this impromptu and I have no clue what the first appearance. Let me search for it myself. Not Mr. Miracle, Mr. Terrific, the very first appearance of Mr. Terrific. So we'll see. We'll see if someone comes up with it. I am scrolling. Mr. Terrific 1. Oh, Chuck. Sweet Christmas. Sweet Christmas. Chuck is on fire. Sensational Comics #1. This is, of course, the second appearance of Wonder Woman and the origin of Wonder Woman. It is also the first appearance in the origin of Mr. Terrific. Terry Sloan, first appearance of Wildcat. I have actually had the pleasure of, I do believe I held this book. I believe that I actually held this book. And I want to say that this book was valued at about, was it $500,000? I think I held this book, and I think it was valued at $500,000. At the time, I was holding 2 really nice Wonder Woman books. A dealer let me hold them at a con, WonderCon, and I had $2 million. I had $2 million in my hands, and I only had 2 books. Yes, expensive. All right, so Chuck, make sure you send me an email to Regie at regiecollects.com. Remind me that you got the Mr. Terrific question, and I will bundle up a pack of cards for you, my friend. Thank you very much for playing. We may do one more, so definitely stay tuned for that. But Tina earlier today acknowledged that and noticed that the Swamp Thing book was missing from the wall. That is because Swamp Thing is going to be this week's Go Collect giveaway. So huge shout out to the folks at Go Collect. that continue to put me in a position to be able to give away these awesome books every single week. So this is Saga of Swamp Thing number 37. This is the first full appearance of John Constantine. So we are actually going to head over to Go Collect's website because I was actually not prepared for this one. Again, some of the stuff that I decided to do is very much impromptu. So we're going to head over to Go Collect, make sure I was logged in. Worst thing you can do is to go do a demonstration and not be able to see it. So Saga, oh, it's already there. Saga Swamp Thing number 37. We're going to go ahead and search for that. We're going to look up the FMV for this book and check it out. And this is a 9.6. The FMV, nope, it's a 9.4. My bad. 9.4 has an FMV, and I'm not signed in. How about that? Let's try that again. This is what I get for being so impromptu and last minute. All right, so let's go over it. Let's try one more time. Redo. Saga the Swamp Thing. We're going to go ahead and click on that, and hopefully it renders. It's thinking about it. It's thinking about it. It is thinking. There we go. All right, so this is a 9.4. FMV right now is at $300, but let's go ahead and click on the sales and see what's happening here. It looks like $275, $340, $215, $279, $250, $214. So it has an FMV of $300, but that is going to be this week's Go Collect giveaway. Really cool book right here. This book could be yours. All you have to do is to stay tuned to the videos that come out from the channel over the course of the week. And in one of those videos, I'm going to give you a phrase. You plug that phrase in to the post on the community tab, and this book could be yours this time next week as part of the Ready, Set, Go preview show. All right, so there you go. Let's randomize the list this time. We're actually going to randomize the list, and we're actually going to give away another pack of the Jack Kirby cards. Huge shout out to Comic Collection Agency for hooking me up with these cards. We're going to randomize this list one more time. Here for the Comics was the winner of this week's Go Collect giveaway, but we're going to randomize this list one more time. The first name that pops up is going to be the winner. Again, you have to be in the US to win, and you have to be present in the room. So let's go ahead and randomize it one more time. Brian, is Brian in the room? Brian, are you in the room? Scrolling down, a couple of people like the book. Cool. Thomas Mayo, nobody enter. Leave this one for me. Thomas, I respect the ask, bro. I'm telling you, if you never ask, you never get if you don't ask. Well done. So let's see. Harvey Abel's like, you're dreaming. Oh my goodness, you guys are hilarious. You guys are. Catherine, how you doing? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. You guys are hilarious, as is my man, Jerry. Jerry, where did he go? He said, Brian left. He said, give it to me. You guys, there he is. Is that, wait a minute, let's make sure that the name matches up. It does. Brian, sir, you are the winner of this right here. Are you in the US though, Brian? If you're not in the US, then you get nothing. But if you are in the US, make sure you send me an email to Regie at regiecollects.com. It's Regie at regiecollects.com. Send that to me. All right. What is this, Meyer? What is, I'm late, who won? I can't remember. Here for the Comics. Here for the Comics is the person that actually won, Meyer. There you go. Don't know if you don't have, man, I'm telling you, here's the thing, man. Somebody might have said the 124 people that are in this room and the 270 some odd people, whatever, that they may have been like, you know what? Thomas Mayo deserves this one. Thomas Mayo deserves this one. We're all going to stand down. It was worth a shot, bro. It was worth a shot. Oh man. All right. So I am going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys, man, for hanging out with me. I enjoyed this live stream, as I do most of the live streams, to be honest with you. I try to have a good time, and I hope you guys do as well. Just as a quick reminder, if you have come into the live stream late, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and watch the top of the live stream. We covered off on a lot of really cool stuff, some of which may or may not have some speculative value, so you may want to check that out. But as a reminder, there are going to be 4 videos that are going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. One of them is going to be me be examining the new case from CBCS, the case that is sitting right here next to me. I'm doing a video. It's going to come out tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, and I'm actually going to talk about that case. We're going to do a lot of different things to examine whether this case actually makes the grade or not. I'm going to do a video about CGC and about CBCS and about anybody else that is doing in-house signings. And it's a video around doing a couple of things before you actually send your book in. A few things that you want to think about before you send your book in. There is going to be a Digging in My Shorts video that is going to be coming out this week, in which I'm actually going to be showing you guys some really cool books from the 100K collection. And then I'm also doing an unboxing video. Those are the 4 videos that will be coming out this week, Monday through Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. And then the last thing is that we are going to be doing a podcast. The podcast is going to be dropping on Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to download that and listen to it if you enjoy podcast. All right. With that said, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. Again, happy Father's Day to all of the comic book soldiers that are out there that have the privilege of being a father. Shout out to all you guys. I hope that you all had a fantastic day. I know that I did, and I wish nothing but the same for you guys. If you need to reach out to me, you can actually do it on Instagram at Regie Collects. And if you need to send me an email, you can do that as well at Regie@RegieCollects.com. And if you're feeling frisky, if you want to pick up some merchandise or any of that other stuff, head over to the website, RegieCollects.com. There's a ton of stuff up there for you guys to be able to check out. All right. Thank you very much and have a good night. Take care.